It's a new week for March 12th, 2018, which means we have a fresh crop of new Kickstarter Pickstarters. A lot of really cool ones to tell you about. Jonathan, why don't you start us off?
I will. Werewords Deluxe Edition from Bezier Games. Werewords, which is coming hot off a win from Board Game Geek. It got their Best Party Game Award for this year's Golden Geek Awards.
Yeah, Werewords particularly, right?
Werewords, the original Werewords, yeah. Werewords Deluxe Edition is now on Kickstarter, and this is that base game. If you're not familiar with it, it's often described, ad nauseum, you might say, as 20 Questions meets Werewolf, where one player has a secret word who can't speak, and everyone else is asking yes or no questions to find it out. But if you're a werewolf in there, you're trying to throw people off the trail. You don't want them to guess that word. And there's a bunch of other roles included in there. Super fun game. I know the original was on my top 10 list for last year. Like I said, got Best Party Game. Everybody likes it. Well, this deluxe edition adds a bunch of stuff to it. Brand new artwork. For starters, as well as a completely newly updated app. The game uses an app. Now it's going to have a brand new narrator, a whole lot more words, new custom word lists in there, probably new music, all that kind of stuff. Just a general overhaul in the design. There's a few new roles you can play as, some upgraded tokens. The box looks different, although it will be the same size. And there's now a token that is way off. So if you think there are people who are really on the wrong trail, you can give them the way off token, for instance. And some other cool little goodies like that. So I'm pretty happy about this. If you have the original version like I do, you can actually upgrade the game for just $15, whereas by itself it's $25.
That's fantastic, because some of those things would be like, man, you're gonna have two copies and be like, well, guess what? You're getting my old one.
Although I gotta tell you, if you do the upgrade, you don't get the new box. They just give you the pieces and you put them in your old box. And part of me is like, oh, do I want to pay $10 for that box? I don't know. I might.
I am really excited about the new roles because I love the game and playing it a lot. But at this point, it's sort of like there's Werewolf and the Seer. There's definitely some other ones in there. I think you can come up with a lot of fun ideas.
Yeah, I can't recall specifics for the included ones. I know one of the stretch goal ones was a doppelganger, where they look at someone else's thing randomly and take on their role. So there's some really...
I assume a lot of them are pulling from their old werewolf game.
Yes, there's some unique stuff like that in there, yeah. And of course, like you said, Werewolf is a great... they already have that jumping off point.
Right.
There's also a better mode for 2 players included, which I don't even think it was possible before. I think you needed at least 3, and even that we thought was a little iffy. So really fun stuff. If you don't have a copy of Werewords, $25 for that game.
From Tabula Games, we have Mystia. In this game, you actually will be playing as heroes in I would guess you'd call it a post-apocalyptic world. The crystal sort of hit a planet, and you're all now on these floating islands around the crystal. You'll be moving along trying to capture power, as well as fight off these monsters. However, these monsters are pretty much impossible to fight 1v1, so you're going to need to have help of your opponents to actually help you in the game. In addition to conquering different areas of the different floating islands, you'll be able to buy cards and manage a deck, very similar to something like Mage Knight. But what's also cool is those islands are going to start moving and rotating around. So you may be planning to think, okay, I'll be safe here. That monster's all the way across the map. Nothing's going to happen. All of a sudden, that island's going to come around right next to you, and you're going to have to deal with that. So I thought it was this really interesting game. It definitely, as I said earlier, reminded me a lot of Mage Knight, but instead of exploring the board and just finding those little dungeons to go after, it was more of an area control and actually having to think a bit more of like, okay, I might go here, but then Jonathan, you may move the island to there, and which may be an issue for me.
Huh. So are the players thematically moving the islands, or they just control them and it's like a natural...
I think it's more of a natural player kind of deal.
We're not like land wizards or something?
I don't recall seeing anyone say... We're strong heroes.
Okay.
And the other thing is also in, Mage Knight, usually it's just, I'm going to go over here, do my thing, and hopefully you're doing the competitive one, I'm hopefully doing it faster than you. In this, some of those big monsters would be like, all right, Jonathan, I'll tell you what, you join me and help me kill this thing. We'll both reap the rewards.
All right, I like that.
So there's a lot more, that political side. So I thought that was definitely something really cool. The artwork is really awesome, taking a look at it. It does go for $105, but this is $20 less than the new Mage Knight Definitive Edition coming out.
Yeah, save $20 if you get Mystia.
Definitely, if you like that sort of area control and deck management while also doing other stuff and maybe some political intrigue, give this a look.
Australia from Shill Mill Games. That's Australia spelled with a Z in it instead of an S. That's because this is a Cthulhu-themed game, and the letter Z is spooky, I think is the idea.
I think more along, just put a letter that doesn't belong there.
Yeah, it's a spooky letter. So this comes from designer Martin Wallace, who, if you don't know, has designed almost 8 billion games, and this is his latest. And like I said, takes place in the outback down under. I won't do that ever again, I apologize. But there are great old ones around, all kinds of creepy Lovecraft stuff. They actually cited Study in Emerald, the board game, as part of their inspiration for the setting of this game. You are going to be players exploring the wilderness. You can establish farms. You can make money, generate resources, that kind of a thing. Also on the board are going to be these old ones. And at some point in the game, they are going to wake up, and they might come near you and try to take over your farms and blight your land. They might attack you, and you have military sections as well, and you can send people out to fight them. And you are going to have to probably work with your opponents to take some of them down because they're, ancient gods, they're Cthulhu and all that kind of a thing. And what's really cool is, so the winner is whoever you're going to acquire victory points. Most points wins. But the old ones, once they wake up, they move around on their own via a system of cards that tell you where they move. And if they do something like kill one of your guys or take over a farm, they can get points. And they can win the game themselves. So every human could lose to one of these guys.
So more incentive for you guys to work together.
Yeah, you are going to have to kind of work together, or maybe you're just like, you know what, I'd rather they win than you win.
So that actually is really, you don't want to get a huge leader, or else it depends who's at your table, but someone may be like, you know what, I'm going to throw these guys at them knowing they're going to lose and give them points. So you don't win.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
A new way to king make.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, this is more Lovecraft, so maybe you're sick of that by now. But
nope.
But not Lovecraft in Australia. That's never been done before.
Fun fact: this is a fantasy game because no old one would be able to actually survive in Australia.
Yeah, that's right. This is actually just based on real Australia. This is a documentary. This game. So this game only goes for $50, which isn't too much considering. Seemed like a cool area control game, and Martin Wallace, well-respected designer. So if you like that kind of a thing, check out Australia.
The world of Velez is missing its king, who recently has died, and it's time for someone to fill the throne. In Dead Throne, you would be taking the role of either one of the heroes or a dark sorcerer, and be trying to get points and prove you are the one deserving of the throne. In this game, you'll be using a modular map and go with different terrain types in order to fight monsters, gather resources, or set traps. In this, also, what's really cool is if you do get into combat, as we know, that usually is when a game could slow down, like the two of us are rolling. The game is designed so that while we're fighting, other people can be continuing their stuff and can actually jump into our fight. Meaning that maybe sometimes it could be, I'm going to wait until I can buy this, then jump in because I'll be able to take advantage of the fight. Which means there's a lot more interesting aspects, and plus, less downtime at the table.
Yeah.
Which to me is a really cool thing. Another big thing, and I know you'd love to see this, is the board, the box, opens up and actually has little dividers for you to slide things in the roof of it, almost like if you recall the Jar Jar Binks box, how it actually, the board itself.
As we all do.
Actually was part of the game. But that's where the storage is so well built in there. It's like, why can't other games do this?
Yeah, always love those.
So it had this really fun, two new things I don't really see in board games. I'd love to see more. And thought it was definitely something fun that's worth checking and taking a look at.
Yeah, I want to be an evil sorcerer.
Yeah.
Now, this is a big, pricey one, I know. Yeah. It goes for $125.
Yeah, it did sound like it's a campaign game.
Okay.
Because they did say that the sorcerer is stronger at the beginning, which is sort of, we played if you played Descent, I feel like it's going to be a little bit like that, except they're a little bit more actually on the board. and so we can gang up on them.
That sounds good.
But like I said, the whole box is already fitted with all these pockets where you can actually put things away and stuff. You know, and that's almost the price of an insert with the game. So it's sort of nice that they thought that in advance.
Is this a minis thing or no?
No, I don't remember. If there are minis, it's just the characters. But as far as I can tell, it's mostly about cards and stuff like that.
Got it.
Like the boards were tiles. I mean, hexagon tiles.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, a whole new way to reduce time at sitting at the table, which is something I know one of our biggest problems in games, because we are analysis paralysis pros. In addition to something that's going to make it so the game can come in and out really quickly, you know, it's going to save you time so you can actually play the game instead of just sitting there.
Darkness is a new card game from Green Meadow Games, in which you're all a bunch of mystic sorcerer type people, and you're trying to gain control of these powerful artifacts through powerful magical rituals. It's a pretty simple game in its premise. There's going to be a series of artifact cards on the table with colors on them. So say one of them has the color green. Each player is going to put down a number of cards in front of them, and whoever played the most green cards gets the green artifacts from the center. But what makes it sort of interesting is you don't reveal all your cards at once. Each player simultaneously will reveal, for instance, their first 3 cards, then maybe their next 3 cards. So there's an element of perhaps bluffing involved where you might see, oh, that person put down a bunch of orange cards, so I think they're going for the orange ones. But maybe they just did that to scare everyone else off, and they don't actually want that at all. So should I save my orange cards, or should I use them now? And then each card has a secondary color for tiebreakers as well. Then there are these darkness cards, and if those come out, they have a specific pattern. So if anyone does that specific pattern on that round, the card goes away. But if nobody does the pattern, then whoever has the least amount of artifacts currently, everyone else has to discard down to that number. So if you're the person in last, you want to bring the darkness in. So, but if you are, you have to risk giving up your turn for the round to actually play maybe the right combination of cards and being able to.
Well, you don't want to play the combination though if you're in last place.
Right, potentially on the other side or something. Yeah. So I just thought that was a really cool catch-up mechanic idea.
I mean, yeah, definitely. It's always fun where you have pretty much. I mean, we've seen this a couple of games. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is Cthulhu Wars, when some of the guys have a power where like, you guys need to have 1 minute to argue about how to give me power.
Right.
Yeah. Like when you force them, who's gonna like give up more?
Hit everyone else against each other while you sit back.
Because it's so fun to watch everyone else squabble until they do that to you.
Yeah, and beyond that, it just seemed like a pretty simple little card game, the kind of fun little abstract sort of. Almost like more traditional kind of type of gameplay. It goes for $22 on Kickstarter right now. That's Darkness.
Now, for those of you who actually already own some favorite board games, you may have had some problems putting them away. Well, Daedalus has come again to Kickstarter to bring some new inserts for some very popular games. A lot of them are on the Golden Geek Award list, such as behind you can actually see Gloomhaven, the obvious big one. But they also have like the Chronicles Spice Trail, or the card game which I'm totally blanking on.
Centuries
Thank
Spice
you.
Road.
But Dark Souls, which I know is a popular game, and Rising Sun, a game that we just played and we've enjoyed. This is obviously, I've gotten these inserts for Eldritch Horror, and I've really enjoyed them. They actually had really nice dark wood. They actually had some tentacle work, so that was pretty cool.
I love tentacle work.
And certain games, like that was a blessing, because, setting up Arkham or that without inserts, it's just like, all right, Will, you're going to set that game up? Great, we'll come back in an hour.
Yeah, that's a lot of games that we play.
Yeah, so like some of these games are just definitely something you should look at. If you have a big game like Gloomhaven, it's almost a must in some cases, because unless you know you're going to set the game up before anyone arrives for game night. Yeah. So, I mean, this is definitely one of those insert companies. I mean, you can look at, there's plenty of others, but take a look at this one. They've got some really cool, nice looking inserts, some nice engravings for a lot of the big new games out there. So, check it out.
Those were our Kickstarter picks for the week of March 12th, 2018. Till we see you next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this is Roll for Crit. Make sure you like and subscribe, and leave your comments down below.
Before it's too late!